to me. It's all you
Hey.
All right, we'll go quick if you do.
All right, James, it's more than 40 minutes.
Okay, I'll call the November 13th, 2024 meeting of the Kickapoo Area School Board to order, and we'll begin with roll call, Marla.
Janet Mathis,
Here.
Earl Wallace,
Here.
Isaac Wallace,
Here.
Rich James.
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Scott Walters.
Here. Second item, affirmation of proof of publication of the agenda.
I, Kimberly Johnson, hereby certify that notice of the Kickapoo Area Schools regular school board meeting was caused to be published in the Epitaph News and posted on billboards in the following places on 11/11/24, Kickapoo K-12 school building, Citizens First Bank of Iola, Iola Post Office, and our school website.
Thank you, Kim. You've all had a chance to look through the agenda. Any suggestions regarding?
I'd like to move item H under the consent agenda, the action agenda.
Okay, so item H under the consent agenda will be item D under the action agenda.
With that, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, second.
Motion by Janet, second by Earl. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Then we have to go back up to audience, to visitors and board members. We kind of did that out of order, which is fine. Yep. But audience, visitors and board members, we've got some student reps.
Yes, we're here from the student council and we're here to talk about what's happening in the classrooms.
Wonderful. The floor is yours.
Okay, so to start with middle school in math, middle school finance finished the quarter with their Regal Wages auction hosted by Kickapoo alum John Schweiger. They get to use the money from their Regal Wages job to buy candy, snacks, and other items. In science, finishing study of Newton's laws and motions with group posters. Exploring Science has been doing population studies of trees and acres to understand the symbolic relationship on trees. In social studies, students are learning about the origins of American government in civics, learning US states and capitals and the importance of culture to a country and geography. In the high school, in English, AP English students are just finishing up their theoretical analysis skills unit and are now preparing to compose their first 40-minute timed analysis. They will then move into argument writing. Math, high school math students are moving right along. They transcripted credit courses, college math through Southwest Tech, just completed their measurement unit and are one step closer to earning their college credit. Geometry, Algebra 2, college algebra, and pre-calculus are all thriving and working hard. Science. Physics just completed a projectile motion challenge. And then anatomy and physiology is currently identifying muscles of the human body and their paired muscle actions. Their end of the unit project is to describe the muscle action of a specific activity, like throwing a ball or spiking a volleyball. AP Environmental Science just finished digging a soil pit across the highway. It was 5 feet in depth, and the students were able to identify the individual soil. Yeah. Biology and earth science are both working well, developing their science skills. Oh yeah, I too. In social studies, in world history, students are learning about many civilizations who controlled Mesopotamia shortly after the civilization began. For advisors, seniors, the class of 2025 will be hosting the community dinner on Friday, December 6th from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Juniors prom is April 12th and we'll be selling cookie dough the second semester. Sophomores, The class of 2027 was able to make donations to both the Viola and Reedstown Fire Departments from their 5K fundraiser they held in October. The freshmen completed their first homecoming week in high school, enjoying many different opportunities to participate in school spirit. They have been working hard to complete their candle fundraiser sale.
Art class. The seventh graders just begun a new quarter with a study of the history of portraits and facial development by Leonardo. They are using Prisma colored pencils to create a realistic portrait of their favorite celebrity. Art 1 is just finishing up their camera roll acrylic paintings and starting to create 4 relief block prints and alternating each one using different art mediums. Art 2 is doing a similar project, but they have to use 3 colors of paint. Independent students are working on anything from using the potter's wheel to making Christmas cards. After Thanksgiving, the visual arts classic team will begin their projects for the competition in February.
Guidance. The elementary staff is off to a great start using the Character Strong curriculum to teach character development to the students. High school students have been busy with campus tours and work tours, visiting UW La Crosse, the Career Expo, tour of Go Macro, and Southwest Technical Trip. All seniors post-planning meetings have been completed, and now Miss Eggy will be starting junior planning conferences with the students and their guardians. High School Student Council ran a very successful homecoming week in early October. They will be kicking off their annual Gobble Graham fundraiser in November and making plans for a winter dance to be held in February.
Middle school leadership. Music. The bands just wrapped up a great marching band season with parades and a wonderful halftime show at the homecoming game. Lane Miller and Charlie Zellhoff participated in the state honors band. The high school performance was aired on PBS. Middle school and high school choirs presented a fall variety show on February 8th and Saturday, November 9th at 7 p.m. in the school auditorium. Free will donations of $2,000 will be split between the food pantry and the music department. The high school band and middle school and high school choirs performed at the Veterans Day program on November 11th. Kickapoo will be hosting the conference honors band on Monday, November 18th, with musicians from our conference and guest conductors and a great soloist. Gym. Middle school and high school classes have been enjoying the outdoors with flag football, gaga ball, disc golf, and soccer. We are currently finishing fitness testing and will be swimming at the start of November.
Work study and youth apprenticeship. Students have successfully completed 1/4 of their job placements. Students enjoyed a visit to UW Platteville Construction Career Day to explore hands-on experience with different construction careers. Students will also be traveling to Coloma in the next few weeks to explore what training site has to offer for training in different heavy equipment career pathways. In yearbook, the yearbook staff has recently completed the 2024 supplement, which has been printed and distributed to students. A copy of this insert has also been included in your packets. Yearbook staff has begun working on the 2025 yearbook by selecting the cover and page templates they plan to use. Pages covering our fall activities will be the first to be completed in the new yearbook.
Thank you.
Very comprehensive. Any questions? For our student reps, nice to have you guys with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
That must have taken a long time to compile. Did you talk to everybody in the building?
That was
We-
Miss
yeah.
Malfi.
She emailed all the teachers.
We put out a Google
Oh.
Doc so people can comment and.
Oh, yeah.
um,
Well, nice job. Thanks.
Yes, thank you guys.
Any other public?
I'll just say something. They mentioned the Veterans Day thing, and it was a very nice Veterans Day program I was there for, and then Aaron kind of was the MC, and it's very nice that the school cooperates so much with the local American Legion and community to sponsor that. The music was great, as always, and the speaker was a Kickapoo grad, Brad Alexander. I graduated in 2000, maybe
2001,
somewhere about that.
2002. Was it 2002?
1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same class, yeah.
Yeah. He gave a really nice full address, so.
Very good, thanks, Janet.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
You can't say, yeah, you gotta stay for the whole meeting.
See you later.
Bye, girls.
Any other visitors, Marla? Signed up, any board member issues? Thoughts? I guess I'll just share a thought, you know, you guys have seen probably the same media that I have on this, but our president-elect is proposing to eliminate the Department of Education. He's proposed a 10-point plan for education moving forward. Not that I have a position on any of that, but it would be good to sort of follow that and understand how that trickles down to public schools as we move forward. Just to put that thought in everybody's mind, I'm sure we'll be getting stuff as things develop over the coming months and years, but through WASBO and whoever.
Yeah.
WASDA, but, anyway, that's something I've been sort of tracking, you guys have seen. I'm sure the
Yeah,
same.
and I'll add to that. I mean, I think that's a very good thought that, you know, in 5 or 6 months, well, I don't know if they can react that quickly, but in the near future, we may have more rules and less money. So it's definitely something we need to start thinking about, just, even without any detail, just at a big level, start thinking about it.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Oh, and one other thing I had mentioned I think at the last meeting, but if in December, January, and some coming board meeting, if we could each get a copy of the Griffin estate, the trust documents. And then I still, after so many years, I know what the Griffin funds are. I see them pop up, but I don't know the schedule of disbursement, how the funds are allocated, what the sideboards are. Just be nice to, I think, especially with all the new board members, Janet and Earl, you've probably been through those exercises many times, but it'd be nice to have clarity, because that's I saw the quarterly disbursement from the Helen Griffin Trust this month, and it's a sizable chunk of money. Just be nice to know the background a little more. Anything else? All right, we will move on then to expense vouchers and receipts. Anybody have anything that jumped out at them?
Just wondering about that sleepy. Oh, 4,600, is that repair for something?
Yep, repair on one of our SUVs. It's not one of the new ones that we just purchased. It's just having some issues, so Jeff took it in and it should be good to go now, is what he told me. It's ready to roll.
4,600, yeah, shouldn't be.
It had something to do with the new timing chains.
So,
Timing belts,
Timing
or is it, you got
chains.
chains in it?
Might be a change on that one.
it's-
Some of the, yeah, there are, that actually is. Yeah, I always think timing belt too, but some of them do
Some
have.
of them are, okay.
I had a couple others, $3,100 for Huddle. That's a camera system
Mhm.
we bought a couple of years ago. Is that
So that's an annual subscription
Annual.
and that one is split between our boys basketball and girls basketball.
okay? Is that just maybe a quick up? Is that getting used the way that we anticipated it would? All the games, okay, good. Good. And then Kent also had a charge, C-Engage Learning, C-Engage, it was, don't
Was
remember,
it Cengage?
C-E-N-G-A-G-E.
If it's Kent, it might be, that was I was a publishing company that did
Textbooks.
textbooks,
Mhm.
especially
Okay.
IT, and so if he's business,
Okay,
and they did business. And IT
Yep.
all
books.
right, that's all I had, then. Books. For the
Yeah, At
school,
least it's books instead of having to do something online.
yeah. Online.
Yeah. thank you.
We get some new uniforms for one sport or another.
Yeah. What's that?
For the Chippewa Valley Sports, we had one for 1,688, and I think there's another one someplace.
I think JV girls got Uniforms possibly,
Okay.
off the top of my head,
I know they're
not
rotate.
positive.
I know we rotate,
Yeah.
they ain't all the same year, but
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that might have been, was it them?
I think it was them, also from Chippewa Valley, we get a lot of like scorebooks, basketballs, a lot of other supplies for the sports.
All right, if no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the expense voucher and receipts.
I'll second that.
Motion by Earl, second by Janet to approve tonight's expense vouchers and receipts. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. We have already approved the consent agenda for tonight. So we can jump right down to item 7, the action agenda, beginning with something we discussed, I think, 2 months ago, maybe last month, the COVID practices for the current school year. And there was a sheet here, a paragraph right after the photos of the match, the wrestling match in your packet.
I think we basically talked about it last time and we kind of looked around at area school districts. CDC talked to Trish, and I think in our informational portion of our meeting, we kind of talked about these guides as far as basically if you have a fever, stay home. If you're sick, stay home. But nothing specific around COVID, although encouragement to wear masks or but there is no more of the 5-day isolation as what we had previously. So it just kind of moves right into our general illness policy.
Yeah, that's, we discussed this fairly.
Yeah,
in
so
depth
then we
last
put it in
time, so-
action to approve, yeah.
Yep, love it. If anybody's comfortable with that, we can,
Make a motion to approve the revised code practices.
I'll second. Motion by Isaac, second by me to approve this year's COVID practices. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item B then, replacement of the network video recorder.
So that we've kind of talked about before, but that's kind of the brains of the operation of our camera system. Needing to update. We have an older version. And right now, our Vernon County Sheriff's Department cannot access our camera system, which is a problem. So the upgrade will allow them to be able to use access as they need to and are able to with all the other districts. Just time for upgrading the camera system and the brains behind it, I guess. We did talk about this at our building and grounds. So bringing it forward.
And it's from an upgrade standpoint, I know sometimes there's upgrades that just like happen with your phones and it's just an automatic. This one is like an upgrade that's like needed, like trying to look at video footage sometimes and get through it, it's just like, it can't keep up. So you try to stop and pause and play and it doesn't work real well.
Bottom line is it's needed.
It's needed for people to do their job. Part of that with technology.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the replacement of the network video recorder.
I'll second that.
I'll second it.
Motion by Isaac, second by Janet to approve purchase of the new video recorder. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. What was that?
Need a roll call vote, since I've got two that are not here.
Because it's a high amount.
And the amount, yeah.
Okay, you wanna redo that?
Yes, but I would appreciate it.
Yep.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
and Scott Walter.
Yes. Then we've got also replacement of a floor scrubber with a few options and a recommendation from VJ to purchase the refurbished model. Is just over half the price of the same model new, it looks like, and allows them to keep using the same pads, et cetera.
I'll make a motion to approve the replacement of the floor scrubber as presented. I'll second it.
Motion by Isaac, second by Earl. And we'll do a roll call vote again, Marla.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. Then we had one further issue on the action agenda that we bumped down from consent, the fundraising effort that Leah Gross would like to engage in using the Snap Raise mobile platform. I had a question about what the charge was, but I guess the 20 to 30%, no,
15.
15 to 20,
Mhm.
that whatever they raise, the company keeps that.
So, yeah, and I was kind of wondering from the way that was written. We normally approve fundraisers, but it looks like in this case, we're being asked to specifically approve SNAP, so I need to know a little bit more about it. You know, is anybody else here using that?
Yeah, Mr. Peterson, had looked in, Heather Martin had used it like 4 years ago, I believe, but he thought that the platform needed to be approved because it's not something we normally do. But she,
Well,
She had done it years ago.
wouldn't this go through you, Aaron? Have you had any talks? about
This, I
this?
have not seen this at all. I haven't
You
seen
know, I
this
didn't
brought
either,
forward
and I
from Leah.
didn't catch this page until I was, you know.
I don't know, did she share anything more with you,
15 to
Kim,
20%,
at
I
all?
think people ought to know if they're giving money, 20% of it's not coming to the students they think they're donating.
That's
to.
the key.
Yeah. Did she talk to you at all?
And she sent us the information, we tried to get a little bit more, spoke with Heather, Heather liked the platform. You know, I guess there's two different ways to look at it. A larger audience, I think Leah approaches a different population beyond even our community. 15% does go back to the company for the platform, and I think it's all of the safety. What else did she say?
yeah, just the security.
The security of the site, the ease of the donation.
Heather said you get more doing it that way. Yes, you pay a fee, but you get more doing it that way. It was simple, and then they just give you a check when it's all done.
And you mentioned Viroqua. uses it.
Viroqua used it, is that correct, Allison? I think Becky had mentioned it today, that this is,
They use it and they seem to like it. She said they hadn't had any issues with it. They did give you the option of the SNAP company either writing you a check or direct depositing it into your bank account. We are opting to get the check just because we feel that's more secure for us and we don't need our bank account information out there. But yeah, she said that Viroqua likes it. They've had pretty good luck with it.
So is there a way, I mean, I guess I don't know how they reach people, if it's like a email or web page or whatever, that they put on there that, yeah, 85% comes to the school and 15% goes to maintenance of the site, just so, like Janet said, people are aware. I guess I don't know how people are contacted or what they.
Yeah, that was
So,
part of my question.
Yeah, and I know Heather Martin said that they contact via email.
So, but they get those emails from where, I mean, do they just like turn over all the emails for our students and where do they have to, does our group have to provide them with emails then or what? Cause I don't.
Actually, the school would email out, the school would contact companies or, you know, the coach or whatever would contact companies and say, and give them like this, website and the information about, what they're fundraising for.
But we personally do not send the emails. It would be up to Leah, the coach,
Yes, correct.
to send to whoever she wanted to.
Does someone see that then to know how it's being represented? I mean, the school may approve the fundraising, but it's not us asked, you know, I don't know.
I think it comes across as, like it would be, the girls wrestling program is seeking donations to purchase a new, mat. I think is what she's after, right? Is that what you took?
Yeah.
So I think those are the specifics. And now that I'm wondering, Andy, are you aware? Because I feel like I've gotten emails from Westby, from the football crew group.
I haven't.
Not
My
since
kids
you were
are,
on
yeah,
there.
not since, but it didn't go across. It did when I was on the board at Westby and my boys are old enough now that I think it just started up in the last couple of years. It makes, I mean, to me, it makes sense for this fact that when I used to be the boys basketball coach, we always did the cookie dough thing. One year, we just asked for, we just sent out letters as donations. And that was great because I know there is some, I don't wanna say pushback, but there are times when you're selling a $15 stub of cookie dough, well, the company of the cookie dough is getting $12 of that, you know, whatever it is. And people, a lot of times people will just say, can I just give you $20?
Mhm.
And I think this would be a way for her to send that out and for people to do that if they were so inclined.
I guess I don't have a problem with, you know, what I'm hearing and stuff about it. I do think maybe internally you guys need to figure out how fundraisers are gonna get to the, I mean, I know I don't know exactly why we approve them. I think it's kind of a holdover from going door to door to do things or if you're gonna be at a business, you know, selling hot dogs or whatever, I don't know. And especially when new things like this come up, I guess I just assume have it vetted and,
Yeah,
you know.
because it is a different look and,
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
glad to know, I mean, like, know what's going on.
yeah.
You're fine with it?
Apparently, it's already been used
Yeah.
It's been
anyway,
used by,
and apparently
Westby.
this one has even been used if we've already decided how the money is gonna come back, so, you know, is there any reason for us to be acting on this at all, I guess is my question now then, because I thought we already had approved her raising money for wrestling mats.
Yes,
Yeah, Mr. Peterson just told her she had to go through the board. So I don't know.
So
What's
this
your
is a
idea?
practice matter or otherwise?
Which means he maybe
What's
has.
that?
The math she's working to get, is practice matter, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, the pictures there show what she's done in the old elementary.
At the gym at the old elementary?
Yeah.
over at the Viola Community Center,
That's right.
yeah, they've allowed her to, use that building all year. And she's naming it Camp Helen or Helen Griffin.
Really?
Yeah. And has spent some Saturdays over there getting it ready.
So the math that she's got down there right now is one of our old ones or?
She had purchased.
She purchased that herself.
Okay. So saying. Knew we had one that had nice circles on it.
So Janet questioned whether or not we need to act on this, but it is on the action
Yep.
agenda, so we might, if nobody has any problems with it, we might as well send a clear message that she can.
Yep.
Go ahead if anybody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the use of SNAP to wrestling.
I will second it.
Motion by Isaac, second by Peggy to approve use of SNAP, and we'll do a roll call vote again.
Rich James.
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis, Yes. Earl Wallace.
Yes.
Isaac Wallace.
Yes.
Scott Walter.
Yes. And that brings us down to our informational agenda with first item being the 24-25 initial assessment results. And who wants to lead us through?
I can start.
All right,
So when we look at the data that Aaron and I compiled, when the state report card came back, the elementary had actually gone up because we missed by like 1/10 of the point. I think it was 2/10 of a point last year. We missed by exceeds expectations and we bumped back up to exceeds expectations. However, I don't know how you guys feel, but when I look at that and see the 6th, 8th and the 7th, I'm not overly happy. So, and we kind of, I mean, we talked about last year that we were using the win time to make changes. And part of the reason that we improved in our, I don't have to guess, part of the reason that we improved on this, on the report card for the elementary was our growth score. Because from where we started and where we've ended up. And I think a huge part of that plays into the extra time that we put into win time to getting kids what they need. Now, with for the Act 20 stuff and going to CISA, I met Jim, and Jim was a reading specialist who works for CISA, and because of our contract with some of the behavior stuff we did with the EMLSS, it's a lot of different initials, we kind of qualify for him to help us, and he said, I can't exactly explain why he's got extra time, but what CISA hired him for didn't exactly have the funding, but they still have Jim. And he said, Andy, because of that, I can come and help if you have anything you want to work on. And I said, we do. I said, this was before I even saw this. I said, we have areas of need in our early reading stuff that we're trying to figure out. So with Jim, what we've done is he gave us some assessments that were free. We had Sherry and Tracy assess every single kid from kindergarten to 3rd grade in those assessments, and then made a spreadsheet. We have every kid's score. We have the benchmarks where they're supposed to be. And after we did that, we realized that our kids are missing some foundational skills in reading. And it's not that Into Reading, the reading program we use, doesn't have them. It doesn't have enough of it. So in the staff meeting on, which Friday was that? 2 Fridays ago when we had the early release. There's been conversations between me and the staff going about what we're missing. And what we decided was, as a staff, is that, yeah, we want to change that. So one thing that Jim recommended that we could try, that we've already had people be trained in, was this called UFly. And it's basically an intensive phonics instruction, and it's on the computer. I shouldn't say it's on the computer. The teacher can go up to the screen, you follow through it, there's a script to follow. So they all agreed that that's what they want to do. So hopefully the board will approve. We're gonna need a little bit of money for some training. It's not a lot, but might have to steal it from someplace, in a good way, to get that training after Christmas. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna use, but I don't believe that we should ability group kids, but I think we can ability group kids for this, because we have the data now that we can say, these kids don't know their short vowels, these kids are struggling with long vowels, these kids can't do blend. So we can take the kids in 2nd grade and we can make a group here, a group there, and a group here, and use Sherry and Tracy in the morning to get them what they need, so that we don't have to look at 6th, 8th, and 7th anymore, because that bugs me. Now, I'm not gonna ask people to do more and more, so if we're gonna do this, we have to take something away. If the foundational part of our Into Reading isn't getting them what they need, let's stop wasting our time doing that. So it's not gonna change our win time, and that, so the vision I have for it is, in the morning when we do our reading, there's gonna be UFly takes about 15 minutes, which is about how long we spend on the intensive phonics stuff. Is, yeah, in that 15 to 20 minutes, they will be in their small groups, they will get what they need. They will go back and read the stories that are Into Reading and do the different skills that go with that. And then any kids, because we'll have the assessment data moving forward, that are missing or behind, we'll get that, basically the kids that are struggling are gonna get a double dose of phonics of what they need, kind of what they're getting one time. And thanks to Jim and the data that we've compiled, we're doing that already in wind time. So Sherry's group, our kids working on one specific thing. Tracy's kids are working on one specific thing. Because that's gonna get us. I never would have got there without Jim. We were on the right track. But we were kind of throwing darts a little bit with how we were grouping kids. Oh, they're low, he's low, she's, they're struggling with this. We weren't pinpointing our instruction on exactly what they needed. And we're closer to that. It's not perfect yet, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So as we get to that, that's gonna change the bottom. The other part, when I look at this, and I said this to Aaron on the truck on the way down here, it's not like all of a sudden the middle school just goes and fixes all the stuff we've done wrong. We're laying a really good foundation for these kids. Is it as fast as I want it to be? No, but it's hard to believe that we go from 6th, 8th, 7th, and all of a sudden we're second, first, second. I'm not saying the middle school is not doing a really good job. I'm just saying they're not just fixing it, like we're not doing anything downstairs. And that's kind of been the historic thing as long as I've been here, is it seems like in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and there's a part of poverty that plays into that we have to overcome. We have a challenge. We've had some challenging behaviors here lately, but those aren't excuses. My goal is to get them where they need to be. And I dug into the numbers a little deeper too, and this sounds like an excuse, and I don't mean it that way because I still want us to do what we got to do. Well, Zeka's got 11 kids in that class. If we had classes of 11, God forbid, I wouldn't be here. We wouldn't need an elementary principal. But when you have 11 kids in there, it's a little different how you can, it's a lot easier to find your 1 or 2 kids. You can do things a little bit different. So, and Seneca's kind of the same way, and that's got to be kind of baked in that when we looked at it too. But so I'm glad the elementary went up, to that's on an average. I don't know what'll happen next year, but we're on the right track with the win time. And I think with what we're trying to do with Jim, it's going to make a difference.
And without looking for excuses for any further excuses, but these groups, years ago when we were in the midst of COVID, there were some gaps in their learning, so that's bound to impact their proficiency levels here, but we've got the right teams on.
And math is closer. I mean, it's not that we're not paying attention to math. We're just closer to the average in math for the state proficiency at 48, 48. 5th grade we knew was going to be a struggle. That's the class we talked about with the number of kids who had challenges. But they did a great job in reading. I think that 5th grade, I know 38.2. I want to say the year before they were in the 20s. They made a really nice jump last year. A lot of hard work by Mrs. Schrader and their classroom teachers, but there are a lot of, I have to remind myself, it's not just about the rank. That's just a competitive part of me that ticks me off. But it's about the improvement the kids make. And sitting in this chair now in a different role, how do I set that up to make sure that we're doing things that we need to do to make sure that can happen? So that's kind of where we're at. And I will answer any questions you have.
So you'll be able to track this year to year on an individual basis. Like we see the average or the percent proficiency, but each student's got a score.
Yeah,
year after year.
And faster.
And you've identified these 3 groups that need help.
It's more than 3 groups, but yeah.
You're gonna be able to see if.
Yep, and it's called RGR, really great reading, and where the benchmarks were, I think in 3rd grade, like 36, it might have been 36% of our kids right now in 3rd grade met that benchmark. And then in that benchmark, it is broken out into different categories, different fundamentals of reading, and we can see where they scored, and it's color coded. If you like graphs, Doug would have loved it. If you like graphs, it's got everything color coded, and you can see, we have it, if it's pink, if it's yellow, if it's red, and it fits into Act 20, because when we have to do the reading plans, we've identified the skills and what we're gonna do to fix it.
And I agree. You don't make that big a jump from grade 5 to 6 unless they're getting what they need in, grade 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
They're obviously prepared to make that jump when they get to middle school. So I really appreciate these reports, and Andy, I really like hearing you describe how you dive into the data. Because I don't remember elementary school being like this. It was a big class, everybody took a test, you got a grade. You moved on, a couple of kids got held back, but the data driven,
We're not gonna do that.
the data driven individual approach is great. To me, it's new, it's taken education at that age, way beyond what I remember it being when I was in public school, so. Nice job. I really like the way you use data to,
We're trying.
yeah.
And that's a lot of work. Jim, Sherry Von Rude has been instrumental in helping. When I met with Jim, Sherry is the one that Sherry came with. And because Sherry's working in the WIN groups, and the relationship Sherry and I developed over 10 years of working together and doing stuff, in 5th grade, Sherry, and she's really good at it and enjoys it. It's been very helpful. And Kim for letting us do it.
All right, one thing I guess to highlight on a little bit, just so everybody kind of knows there was a change, but they did a change this year. So that used to be titled Advanced, Proficient, Basic, and Below Basic, and they've changed that to Developing, Approaching, Meeting, and Advanced. So really kind of the same thing, just some different wording. The one thing they did do this year though, is that they changed the cut scores a bit. So it actually increased these percentages about 10% from what they've been historically. So it obviously levels out for everybody as you go across, but in math and ELA, it did raise the cut score percentage about 10%. Like Andy said, if you look at our middle school, high school scores right now, if you look at our ACT, I'll start with the 6th, that's been one of our lower scores over the years. Was it a surprise? Not necessarily. When you look at some of the classes that they come through, you try to continue to grow and improve kids each year. But there are going to be some classes that may just score lower than others, and you continue to work with them and do the best that you can. So looking at that with an average of 17.7 put us at 6th. Consistently have done, really well with the ACT part of it. When you look at the rest of the testing for 6, 7, and 8, and the 9th and 10th in the ACT, it is definitely a good feeling to look at it and see a lot of green there. Knowing that right now, the next 5 years of classes are really, really solid. Especially in the ELA, I think that's just probably the first time I think that I've been here that every 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th all the way through has been proficient. Like Andy said, that comes from the groundwork that's set. We've gone through, you guys as board members have been here long enough to see some of the years where the elementary scores are great, and then some of those scores are, and it kind of rolls through the years. And, with that, you continually try to keep improving and getting kids better. But there is a level that once they get to that 5th, 6th grade, you're not going to change them down 20 percentile, and it's going to be really hard to change them up 28 percentile. And so you really try to focus on some of those individual aspects with each individual kid and make them be the best that they can be to improve. Looking at the scores, and I don't have to go through, if you want me to, I can, but I think everybody can kind of see, but they're really solid in ELA. We were above the state average in all of them. A couple highlights, I guess, to point out, like grade 7 last year, they had 39% of the kids that were proficient. This year, they're 64.5. So even with that 10% increase, there's definitely been a performance improvement. With that, it makes me wonder, and I didn't dive into it kid by kid, but in the past, you'll have a few kids who are literally right on the edge of a cut score of being proficient. And so I think what probably happened, even though they improved, there are probably some kids that were right on that edge of a cut score, and with this change, it put them over into that level, which is great to see, but definitely a good improvement. Same thing in grade 8 English. They went from 38% last year to 54.8. But Definitely solid, especially when you look at grade 9 ACT, state average was 16, we were at 17. Grade 10, 17.2, 17.2. I think those are definite wins and things to be happy with, and the teachers are obviously working hard and doing a really good job. If you look at math, and this is one, as the board knows, throughout the years, we've been really trying to work to improve, and our goal has been that Kim and I have had the last 2 years before Andy came on in the principal role, is that to get to the level that our school proficiency is at the state average. And we've continued to grow and get there and improve. But if you look 6, 7, and 8, we were above the state average in 7th, but in 6th and 8th, pretty darn close. I mean, you're talking 1 or 2 kids. If you look at the middle school 6, 7, and 8, the state proficiency average was 53.1. We were 51.1. So we're basically 2 percentage points away, which I looked historically. In 1920, 2021, we were 13 points below, 10 points below, and that's continued to grow up to be within a few percentage points each year. So the hope is that we continue to improve and get better with that. But I think definitely, even looking at the math, the new math series that we're working on, it's definitely helped. It's definitely helped us improve, which is a good thing. Science has always really been, pretty solid, and it shows again that we definitely stand out looking at grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, which is great to see. In social studies, we typically have always done really well too. We were a little bit below in grade 8, but definitely above in grade 10. And go from there. In the historical with the ACT, and I said that going through, we've got our forward scores, which, are certainly one component, but when you get to the high school level, it's kind of that focus on the ACT. So like I said, I do feel it's really good to look at our 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 and know that those are the coming ACT scores, and see that they are definitely pretty solid. And so we hope to continue to help them improve and do the best that they can be. So I guess questions from anybody on that, hopefully a lot of it, if you ever have we've kind of changed the format over the years and had some changes and tweaks, but hopefully this gives everybody enough info of kind of what they hope. If there's ever anything different you'd want to see, let us know. We can try to do that. But any questions from anybody? Any thoughts?
Well, I guess I'll just share a thought. I've come to view these types of data differently over the last few years. You get hung up, the way they're presented, you're kind of hung up comparing Kickapoo 3rd grade versus Wazeeka 3rd grade, Kickapoo 4th grade. And to me, that's become much less meaningful. What is more meaningful to me, because Wazeeka's got 11 kids. We don't have many more than that. When you have a small sample, annual variation is going to be huge. So you're always going to get classes that score relatively lower below the state average. But what's become important to me is, what do they look like next year, and the next year, and the next year? So if there were a way to depict, their improvement from last year, to me, that's a more important measure of what we're doing with them in the classroom than their score relative to another school.
Comparing 7th grade this year to 7th grade last year, what you really want to do is compare
6 to 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I
That
didn't.
would be more interesting to see.
Yeah, no, when I said that, I meant that was the current class.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that,
we're looking at
yeah, I was saying that was the current
I didn't
class.
take that
Yeah,
right.
sorry, I apologize. Yes. I didn't mean it from year to year. I meant like this year's
That group.
7th. Yeah. So this year's 8th graders, last year's 7th graders, they didn't improve that much within the year. It was that class.
And to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't really care how our kids are doing compared to anybody else in the conference. It's nice to see the state average is sort of a bounding numeric, but I'd be more interested in what that class did all previous years taking that test.
Okay.
So we can track, you know what I mean? I think it's more important that.
With changing the cut scores, we almost have to start from last year going forward, because you can't, when DPI sent their thing out, they said, you can't compare scores, because with changing the cut scores. And but ELA also changed, I don't know about you, but it changed for us as they took out the listening portion. It was a listening portion, the writing, the reading, that's on there, but there was a listening one and they took that out. So it's a different amount of scores. So every time something came out, they're like, you cannot compare these scores to past year scores. Cause when they first came out, I was like, hey, we did really well. And then they said we changed the Scott scores and how we, so I mean, it doesn't mean anything, you really can't. But next year we can.
Can
this
you-
So next year to see next year's and then this year's.
Can you
to go
tell
to see.
DPI to stop doing that, so we can compare, cause
Would be nice.
really,
I
I
don't
think
think
that's the
it's-
value in these data, we wanna know how
Yeah.
we're enhancing our kids' education.
So maybe next year put a or the prior year score as well to see from one year to the next.
I think that would.
That would
that
be,
would
because
be-
then we could. just
Okay,
do
you
our
can
own,
actually
you
see
know,
the
split that money,
percentages.
you know.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Any other thoughts, questions?
I appreciate the amount of work you put in.
Yeah.
You know, we get a lot of good feedback out in the community about our school and our staff, and never once has anybody said, boy, your test scores. But maybe once, you know,
Yeah.
but very few people are aware of it. They're more aware of. you know,
Yeah.
The kids. what they're doing.
And that's that whole conversation with John Tanner about the benefits of education and people speaking more about what are the benefits. And I think that's kind of what you're saying.
So along those lines, we had talked, I don't know if it was at the retreat or a former board meeting about how we communicate those things to the public more effectively, so they do know that, you know, our kids are doing well.
And that will fall on me, and I will, so part of my report is I attended the WRSA Rural Schools Conference, and I focused on that communication piece, because that is kind of really coming to light more for more schools, is how and what do we communicate, because you really want your story told. Because there's a lot of discussion about what a public school is, so you want to be sure that you're very personal in your delivery, so I did attend several of the communications courses that they offered there. So putting together some ideas, they're talking about the branding and kind of a more of a marketing appeal too for school districts now that's kind of evolved. So yeah, I'm trying to put some things together, and my team, and we're going to be meeting weekly and kind of planning out too of a vision for what that might look like.
Very good.
Including, I talked to Kent about his marketing class. But along with that marketing class, that he has, part of the other portion of the WRSA conference that I attended was the AI literacy. And building our literacy and our understanding first. But they're actually looking at marketing kind of being one of those fields that AI kind of takes over. They see AI as being a performance booster. And I think our roadmap to really elevating our staff and students' usage and understanding and ethical usage of AI is really just starting with an education piece. So CISA's coming in next Tuesday to work with initially our leadership team, where we are going to learn some of that literacy and develop a roadmap together about how do we bring this to staff and how do we help our students use this that will benefit their learning and help engage them into the world that they will know when they graduate. So sorry, I'm kind of jumping right into my report. Is that okay? The superintendent report.
I guess. Yeah, if you're rolling, keep rolling, and we'll bounce back.
Yeah, so those were kind of two of the classes, I guess, that I focused on at the WRSA conference. Additionally, I had a PAC meeting in there, and AI was a focus at my PAC meeting, and they're bringing in Buffy, some AI expert as well.
Buffy.
I think his name was Buffy, but he spoke to us, showed us some of the different ways that AI is used, and who is actually using it. It was really interesting, and I can bring or do like a a video for you to have an understanding about where we're at with AI, so that we can also educate you and give you the literacy and help you understand where we're at and how we're moving with that. And then he also had, and I can't remember his name right now, but we kind of talked about the housing market, and we talked about rural, and rural is not necessarily dying out like kind of the newscasters want to say. What they're realizing is that people are moving out of the city, and they typically will move to the suburb, but now the suburbs are kind of getting full, so they're moving into the suburb. But rural life is still alive and well. But what they have noticed from the research that they have done is with our housing, typically what you would have are families grow up in their small homes, and as they age, they typically would move, and then a family moves in with their children, and that's kind of how the system continues. But with how the housing market is right now, without, your interest rates are so high, and it's really hard to have affordable housing, people are staying in their homes. So looking at how can we address that issue as a whole community. But that was part of that PAC meeting. Also, when we're kind of speaking on behalf of the increased needs in our foundational literacy skills, but also an increase in our OT, we had contracted with CISA, and we are realizing quickly that we have more referrals. So having that conversation with Jamie about potentially needing to increase Claire's time with her occupational therapy with some of our students. Katie and I are really going to work on a schedule to see what is the most efficient way that we can utilize our OT's time while she's here. But there may potentially be an increase in that contract that we have with CISA. My WASDA meeting today, we did speak on behalf of what is happening with the new election and kind of the different things to expect. Maybe some potential reductions in title funding, yeah, trying to be aware and plan accordingly so that we can continue to provide our students with what they need. An update on the bus barn. Talked to Jeff, and the cameras that were installed in the buses are doing, they're seamless to be able to transfer the videos upon request to Vernon, the sheriff's department. And that would be if footage were needed for kind of any kind of footage or traffic violations. Jeff was just stating that the camera system is just seamless. It's working beautifully. We were also able to, for a smaller fee, get the cameras for the outside of the buildings, so that we have the security increased with work by DJ and Jeff and Nowhere. Sorry. They're getting that camera system set up currently. It's not up and functioning as of right now. But so I'm feeling really positive about the security that we are offering through those cameras with the buses and the bus barn. There is another Traverse that has been giving him a little bit of problems, and it's in the shop right now. It is leaking antifreeze internally. So they're looking at potentially maybe needing to switch out the engine in that specific vehicle. It's still under.
That's a new one? Not the last one we had, this one before.
The black, I think it is the black one. So in the shop right now, I'll have more information on that next month. We as a team met with Richland Center, Steve Ford, to kind of discuss some opportunities that we may have for possibly collaborating, some cost saving measures or alternative educational path. So building relationship with Steve. We had a rich conversation and look forward to more collaboration with him and Racine Center on how we can meet all of our students' needs. I met with Megan and we have set up a date to kind of discuss an agenda item for our joint board meeting. Wondering if you would prefer a December meeting or a January meeting to get together with them. And I can send out an email, we can get feedback in that way, and to settle on some dates, but we met and just kind of drafted a small agenda that we can maybe discuss together as at our joint meeting. Brainstorming some different options for daycare. This is kind of hot topic focus item, especially when we're looking at the number of staff members that we have who have babies and are in need of daycare. So have some ongoing conversations and started some problem solution for immediate staff anyway. Still kind of working things out, speaking with different people in the community. But really don't want to lose some of our young staff, and then we can build on from that. But I'm trying to fix that problem first, I guess. Dan Johnson, and I think I've let everybody know, but he has resigned and his last day is November 29th. We do have interviews on Friday, and we do have a couple of really great candidates that we're excited to interview. Becky Silverson, our new bookkeeper, started on Monday and it's working out fabulous. Allison has been busy training and it seems to be going really well in the office. And I think that covers most of what I wanted to share with you tonight, unless you have any questions.
I guess December, January, I think January, to avoid all the holiday.
Okay.
Programs.
Start the new year.
Save an email. All right, our random approach to the agenda then takes us back to activity fund report.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, that was.
Yep, so this is just an update of where all of our clubs are at. We do have a couple that are backwards on their account. I've reached out to them, just kind of let them know we kind of have setting up a plan of attack for that. Mostly everyone looks good. I know some of the accounts do have a larger balance in it, like band club, but I know they are going on their trip next year, Aaron.
It's next year, yeah.
So, yep, just getting ready for that. We'll have some big expenses coming out soon with that, but yeah, so far everyone is looking okay.
Wonderful, thank you, Elson. Any questions? Then we'll move on to principal reports.
I'll go. The student council is gonna steal a lot of my ideas.
Short and sweet.
One thing we didn't get on, parent teacher conferences will be coming up here in the next few weeks, so it's actually gonna be kind of interesting because it's a change from the last however many years of the timing of it. So we'll see how that goes. Kind of the big one, as Janet mentioned, I thought the Veterans Day, just a shout out to Mr. Smith and Mrs. Miller. I think they did an awesome job, the variety show as well. For any of you saw, I think, you know, seeing the variety show, if any of you went to it, but it's always really neat when the seniors give their tributes and the things they say about Catherine and just kind of that element. So it was just kind of one thing to hit on, but again, great job in the music department with that. And yeah, that's basically what I have right now, so.
Good work.
Yeah.
We had books for breakfast at the first of the month, well attended. The Booster Club threw a big Halloween bash and made a ton of money for their Booster Club, and everybody, it was outside for the most part, and everybody, I didn't hear anybody say anything bad about it. So kudos to the Booster Club. Teachers scheduled their conferences, today, Wednesday, Tuesday. Cause in elementary, we schedule them, so the letters should be going home, and then today, Mrs. Aggie, put on Kindness Day, that's why everybody's wearing blue, because blue is Kindness Day, so everybody, just about, actually, well, it helps with blue jeans, but just about everybody had blue on in the elementary today, so today was Kindness Day. And Thanksgiving is right around the corner.
Thank you, Aaron and Andy. Any questions for either of them? Then our next item tonight will take us into closed session according to Wisconsin State Statute 19.8 paragraph 1 part C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, with our purposes tonight being business manager, summer school pay, and lifeguard pay. I will entertain a motion to enter closed session.
I so moved.
Motion by Earl, second by Isaac, to go into closed session, and we'll need a roll call vote.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
Earl Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
James,
Yes.
and Scott Walter.
Yes. All right, Earl, you want to run us through?
Make a motion that we approve the summer school pay and lifeguard pay as presented.
I'll second.
Motion by Earl, second by Isaac, to approve the lifeguard and summer school pay as presented. All in favor? Roll call.
Probably better.
Wallace,
Yes.
Isaac Wallace,
Yes.
Rich James,
Yes.
Peggy McCormick,
Yes.
Janet Mathis,
Yes.
and Scott Walter.
Yes. That leaves us with one motion left to make tonight.
Second.
Motion by Isaac, second by Janet, and with my apologies that we're an
You
hour.
blew it by an hour and
17 minutes.
You missed
15 minutes.
You're up to a nice start.
Have a good night, everybody.
It was those two.
December, Scott.